thanks a lot, Beverlee, and also thanks a lot for the organizers and for inviting us here. It's an honor to speak for you or in front of you, and I'm also happy to answer Q&As later on, even after the session, if some of you has a question or so. I think I can feed in nicely to what Dorothea said, because like through the experiences that I, as a consultant, also working with development partners and with businesses, know from a practical and implementation perspective. So moving a little bit from this academic view into the practical implementation view of multi-stakeholder platforms and collaborations. And I think I would specifically like to talk about two types of partnerships. One is the corporate partnerships, as we define it, between NGOs and private sector. And the other is multi-sector platforms or multi-sector partnerships, similar to what Dorothea was talking about. A quick background to the company I work for. We are based in Berlin, and we do consulting for businesses on how to become more inclusive and sustainable. So how to integrate low-income people into their economic value chains. We also work a lot with development partners and donors on how to create what we call inclusive business ecosystems. So the enabling business environment for social enterprises, inclusive businesses, companies to reach their full potential. And I think especially in that type of work, we do a lot of incentivizing the private sector. So we create specific incentives on bringing private sector into the game. And one of these examples that I also want to share with you, some experiences or some learnings, is a program that we are doing with UNDP, with the Regional Service Center for Sub-Saharan Africa. It is a innovative, multi-stakeholder collaboration approach in 3 countries. We work in Uganda in the tourism sector. We work in Senegal in the renewable energy sector. And we work in Lesotho in the mobile banking, digital finance sector. And this is very different regions, very different sectors, but what all of that has in common is that we are trying to transform the sectors towards more inclusiveness and sustainability. So, for example, just to make it very concrete, in Lesotho, we are working with the big mobile network operators and the big banks, so Vodacom, Econet, Standard Bank, etc., and the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank, etc., on bringing mobile banking into the rural areas of Lesotho. So here we have a case, and this comes basically to my first point, my first point that I want to make, that incentives need to be aligned. If incentives are not aligned, private sector collaboration or inclusion of private sector doesn't really work. Here, in this case, in the case of Lesotho, we have this alignment because everyone, the Ministry of Finance, they want to get financial education into the rural areas. Vodacom, the banks want to get into the game. They want to be part of the profits that they can make with mobile banking. But the big MNOs, they want to expand. They want to increase profits. They want to make more money by having more people as a target group. So everyone, all these different stakeholders have the same goal. They want to bring mobile banking into the rural areas. And this is a situation or circumstances where I think, from my experience or from our experience, private sector collaboration and these multi-stakeholder approaches can work. I think another point that I wanted to make that I find very important, especially in the work with NGOs, but also that I've seen working with UNDP is, and I'm not sure if that analogy is okay, but that I see in relationships. So if you, as a person, are not fully, let's say, comfortable with your own strength, or convinced about your own strength and your assets that you bring into a relationship, this has a negative influence on a relationship. And you are insecure, you don't know what to expect, you don't know what the others are expecting. And this is something that I've seen a lot working with NGOs, that when they collaborate with the private sector, they are not fully aware of their USP, of their unique selling point, of their value added in the relationship. And this creates an imbalance in the relationship. So I think as a recommendation there, before engaging with the private sector, social organizations should really sit and think about what their specific value added is. And they have a lot. So, for example, an international NGO has a very big distribution network. They are all over the world. They have really high quality, good people. So they have a lot of assets that they can bring into a partnership. It's just about how to communicate that. And for example, with UNDP, in this case of the partnerships that I was talking about, UNDP plays the role as a facilitator. This is something that UNDP is extremely good at. No other player in the world, I would say, can bring together governments, private sector, other players in that setting. So UNDP knows their USP, their assets, and that's what they bring into the partnership, and that's what makes a partnership work. I have another, like a couple of short 2 minutes. Some comments that I had on multi-sector stakeholder platforms, and I fully agree with what she said about who to partner with. So you need to find the right partner, and when you do the when you to know how to organize a private sector partnership, what we found is that it is crucial to include the private sectors in the design of the partnership. And this is again to just align with their own incentives. If that is not the case, if they are brought in after the project or the partnership is designed, then they will not be able to bring in their unique strengths, because yeah. And another thing that I found very interesting when I read what Dorothea was writing, is that I'm strongly recommend to go with the ones that are willing and to walk the talk. So meaning, if one private sector organization is willing to bring a topic forward and willing to contribute and bring in, we need to go with that. We of course need to be inclusive for others to align with that, but otherwise, when we wait for everyone to be in this partnership, for everyone to move at the same pace, we will not be able to move. So it is okay to move faster with some, and others with the private sector, if they see that in my case again, if Vodacom sees that Econet does something great and that Econet is in this partnership, they will also jump on board. They are just waiting because they are not fully convinced that this is a business case. Collaboration with the public sector. But when you show that to them, they will jump on board as soon as they can.
Thanks for being a little bit late.
Thank you.
With a few technical problems
So please remember, if we all help and do a little bit, it will make a big difference.